John Force here, 16-time funny car champ. I'm going to be jumping around in this interview because sometimes I'll get a story and it'll go somewhere, but it'll turn around and come around and it'll catch you up again. Robert Height says I'm famous for doing that in everyday life. I want to talk briefly about my first championship in NHRA. I think that was 1990. Now, if I get lost and I tell a story that happened in 91, I don't want anybody going, well, you know, Ford's got that wrong. You know what I'm saying? What I want to say is there's things that matter to me and they may just come up, but the sequences may not all be right. So bear with me, please, okay? But that year, with Austin Coyle, Bob Fisher, and a team that we put together to win a championship, I told you how I dreamed to win my first national event in Montreal. The thought of a championship and being like a Prudhomme or a Bernstein or a Raymond Beadle, it was never going to happen. And I'm not negative, I'm a believer. I'm the guy that lost every game for 3 years at Bell Gardens High School being a quarterback. I know how to lose, but somewhere along that road, I think the good Lord was leading me. I was going to come out of this mess that I got myself in, wanting to be Don the Snake Prudhomme. I can remember during that season, we got into problems. This thing was blowing the blower off every run. And even the great Austin Coyle, the greatest of all time, could not figure out why this thing was doing what it was doing. We were working out of a shop over, I can't even think the name of the city, Plano Park, with a gentleman, Clay Smith Cams, was a business, built engines and stuff. George Striegel and his wife. We were having this problem. Every time I hit the gas, this thing blew the blower off. And we couldn't find out why. And Coyle, he can figure out anything. But in the middle of all this, every time you hit the gas on the burnout, and not every time, but almost, it happened like 6 or 7 times in a row. So we're coming in, we're running for the championship. That's a whole nother story. We were winning races, and in the middle of all this, we got snake bit. So we went over to George Striegel's, and he had a driveway, and we opened a fence out into a boulevard. Got this car. Now understand, by this time, I'd already had a helmet that had a face mask, like a football helmet, made on the front, so a blower rotor or parts wouldn't come through and break this beautiful face, okay? So we went over there and we said, we gotta do something to fix this. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna do burnouts right here in George's parking lot, go out into the dirt and try not to cross that road going by. Everybody was there, the team, George, everybody. I'm all wound up, terrified I was gonna kill myself. And somehow I think they got me hopped up on coffee or Monster Energy maybe, whatever. So here I was, and I did a burnout right across his parking lot, and this is a very little area. Now I did it in Australia back in '74. I did a burnout right down the middle of town. Gary Denton was there in Surfer's Paradise. No one could believe I did it. I did it at Jay Leno's studio, you know, in LA, okay? And it created a fiasco, almost got arrested. But there on that moment, we did that burnout. We backed up, we did it again. We backed up, we did it again. And somehow, by a miracle, this ain't the story, it's just part of it, we fixed it. Never, the only thing they ever came up with, and I'm not a tutor, so I don't know if it's close, but we think it was arcing. We were using different type of rotors, and they thought maybe they were arcing against the case. We stopped it that day. Didn't do anything different, it just stopped. So in the middle of it, we end up at Pomona. I don't know if it was the next week or a month later, we end up at Pomona, and I'm running for the championship. Now understand this. I have been end over end. I've been on fire from here to Australia. I could have done everything you can imagine in a race car. And why I didn't kill myself, good Lord, is why, okay? But here I was, all I had to do was pull up there, stage, and the championship was over. Okay? We locked it up on the first run of the day. I think that's right. Maybe it was the second run. I'm getting a little old here, memory's a little short. But I remember that moment, Austin Coyle looking through the window. I was with General Motors. I was driving an Oldsmobile at that time that still said Don Steve Chevrolet on the front of an Oldsmobile. But I remember doing the burnout and thinking, oh God, just don't let the blower come off. You know what I mean? Because I've got to make this one run. And I backed up and I came up and staged, went down the racetrack, didn't have to win the round, don't even remember who I was racing, and I was the champ. Now here, you're supposed to lead up to a big build-up. It's your first NHRA Championship, 1990, and you found your dream of being Don Perdome. But in the middle of it, in that moment, was would that blower stay on? Because if it didn't, and somebody comes up and I don't stage, they automatically win the other driver. That day was my day, and I got that championship. When you go home and you sleep with the trophy, that's really embarrassing, but I did. It was just unbelievable. But it was years of being on fire, being called a leaker, being called a bridesmaid, all of that stuff along the road. I was just a joke. Perdome says I'm still a joke, but I was just a joke. The Mongoose McEwen, all these guys that loved me that said, if you keep trying, you're going to make it. Gene Beaver was with me from the very beginning. He was there during those championships. And he was my mentor that taught me how to race. In the middle of it, that day was over, and I remember going home to my brother Walker, and I said, I am so depressed. My wife Lori, I'm so depressed. My kids were all there. Adria was there. Ashley was there. You know, Brittany, Courtney. Did I name all my kids? I'm getting so, over all this stuff, I'm getting fried. But it was like, my God, I finally won, and I've done what I wanted to do. And my brother Walker, really a smart guy, my brother Louie was cheering, he was there. My brother Walker said, it's called postpartum depression. This is what I wanted you to learn from this story. What do you mean postpartum depression? What does that mean? He said, that means when a woman goes 9 months to have a baby, and she finally has the baby after all the dreams, all the pain, everything. Now she's all depressed and she's got this beautiful baby. But in your mind, it's like, what do I do now? I got the baby. You got what you want. I had the championship. I had the trophy. I had the check. And I was depressed. Well, that set me up, always an education from my brother Walker, back to putting it all together. I know I'm putting Sarah Slaughter asleep right now, but this was very key. How could you finally win and then be depressed? Who knows? But it brought me out fighting. We worked all winter. You know, we go right into the next season, into 91. You know what I'm saying? And we're fighting for it. And that is all the hype and all the excitement. The one thing I still have is a picture on the wall with John Howell, with Neil Bonnet, and with my team, everybody that I loved, my family, and it was a very emotional day. But most important to me, to end this story, I'm sorry I drug it out, all of my daughters, Adria, Ashley, Brittany, and Courtney, were all wearing a shirt that says, my daddy is the world champion, the NHRA World Champion. And that picture's on my wall, and I'll have Sarah take a picture of it. It was the proudest moment in my life to look at that picture, and I put it right in my lobby, that I could always see that moment in all your stress and pain and all that depression. Pictures on the wall, and that was pretty awesome.
John Force, the season's over. What are you doing?
I'll come out here and greet the fans. They wanted a world champ. They earned it.
They're getting set for a job.
Hey, right from the pavers to the outhouse. I can't believe you. You know that was coming. Give me a towel, I'm blind. I was in the middle of an interview.
Okay, get some composure now. It's still the baddest move.
Thanks. Hey, where you at? Coyle, my team, come up here. Right, John.
All right, guys, good job.
Coyle. I work the tag team, the baddest guys I've ever raced with, the biggest bunch of misfits I ever met. But me and Coyle turned them into a race team and won the championship. Terrible stuff. We'll be right out. We got 1 million autographs. All the teams autographed today, even the great Austin Coyle.